If your name is Sarah and your boyfriend's name is Jake and he was in Austin, Texas for South by Southwest this weekend and your best friend's name is Amanda, this video is for you. This is probably the most disgusting, vile thing I've ever experienced. I'm so sorry. I was at brunch this Saturday and I was seated right next to your boyfriend and your best friend. You might be thinking, why was my best friend there? My best friend wasn't in Austin this weekend. Yes, she was. She was there with your boyfriend. Your friend was gonzo. Like, it was bad. It was 11 a.m. and this girl is screaming. So I heard every single thing she said. They were talking about how your boyfriend had said that he was going on a business trip to go to South by Southwest events, and your friend told you that she was visiting her family. But that's not true. They were fully on a couples trip. Very touchy at the table, holding hands, flirting, like kissing. Gross. Also, we were at brunch. I was like, actually, calm down. This is disgusting. Nobody here wants to see this. And she's sitting there being like, when are you going to leave Sarah? And he's like, soon, babe, I will. But we have a few months of our lease left. And I need her dad's help finishing up with this contract. I don't know what contract they were talking about, but your dad should not be helping that man get any kind of contract. He's sitting there trying to play a good guy too. He's like, yeah, it's been really hard for me. Like, she thinks that we're going to get engaged soon and I'm going to end it to be with you. Oh yeah, things have been really hard for you, Jake. Like, really hard. I know nothing that I can say is going to make this better, but you dodged the biggest bullet of your life because this man was terrible to the waitress. She came and was delivering the drinks, spilled a little bit of water on the table. He looks at her and he goes, you actually have one job. Can you just do it right? South by Southwest in Austin is so busy. These restaurants are absolutely packed. This woman is probably so stressed, and your boyfriend, ick. Biggest ick in the world, literally disgusting. And your friend's makeup was smeared all over her face. Like, the girl had obviously been sweating. It's getting a little warm in Austin. Mascara smeared everywhere. It was bad. It was not a cute look. And yes, obviously I got photos of them together, but I didn't want him to be able to come back and be like, babe, what are you talking about? We just ran into each other randomly, didn't even know she was in Austin. So I also got videos of them having conversations where it's very clear that they're together. He's calling her baby. They're holding hands. Like, I got you. And I know this is actually like horrible, earth-shattering news if this is your boyfriend and your best friend, but imagine being your friend and not only being so backstabbing, so conniving, so unempathetic, a terrible human, but then also having to fake a trip, lie to all their friends to go on this trip with the guy they're seeing, and they literally like can't post anything about it. They have to lie about it because they know they're in the wrong. Like, that's sad for you. Like, that's really, really sad. Really, you can't, no, there's nobody else. Literally nobody else likes you that like you have to go for him. Like, it's pathetic. It really is pathetic. I got a message from a girl saying, oh my gosh, this video is about me and my boyfriend. When I look at her profile photo, it's Amanda. But the name on the account was not Amanda. She told me that sometimes her and her boyfriend like to do bits when they're out, so they decided that when they went to brunch, they were gonna pretend to be these people in this like forbidden relationship. Okay. I mean, I have pretended that me and my best friends were sisters at the bar, but I don't think I've ever done a bit like that in broad daylight. But you know, that's what they wanted to do. She said that they had been together for a couple of years, and this is just something they do that keeps their relationship exciting and fun. Each their own, I guess. And I didn't believe her at first, but she did show me proof that they have been together for multiple years. And their names are not Jake and Amanda. They made them up. Like, they fully just put on a character. And she was like, yeah, I remember sitting next to you. So, yeah, I know. I knew immediately when you started talking that this was about us because I recognized you. I did not expect the situation to turn this way. I thought that I was going to end up finding this girl that had a terrible boyfriend and a terrible best friend. But, you know, this is a lot better. There's not a Sarah out there that's about to have her life absolutely turned upside down. This was just not a chapter in the story that I was anticipating.
Story time of why my family and I will probably never host another foreign exchange student. So my junior year of high school, we decided to host a foreign exchange student from Germany. We'll call her Haley for the story. And for the first 2 months, I would say everything went really, really smoothly. She was accommodating really well. We were all communicating really well. She was right on top of things, did really well in school, had no issues. Things really started to get rocky right after that, though. There were some things like she wasn't picking up her room anymore. She was letting her trash in her bathroom in her room overflow to the point where it was falling out. She was stuffing trash in her drawers. She was stuffing trash under her bed. And it was just all around just bad. So my parents and I decided that it would be best if we intervened. So we decided the best thing to do was have a sit down talk with her. We asked her, like, hey, is anything going on? Are you okay? Is there anything you need help with? And she was just like, no, 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 no. And we were very thrown off because before this, she had been communicating very well. Well, after this point, she goes into her room, she calls her parents, and she is talking to them, and she is punching, kicking walls, throwing things that we can hear outside of her door. That is locked at this point. And I knock, and I'm like, hey, is everything okay? Like, I want to give you privacy, but I, like, want to make sure you're still okay. Yes, just don't want to talk. Okay. We ate dinner. We asked her if she wanted to eat dinner with us. She said no. We asked her if we could get her anything to, like, eat after we ate dinner and cleaned up everything, and she said no. So we said okay. Everybody went to bed that night. The following day at school, there were tons of rumors going around about how we were supposedly not feeding her. We were locking her in our basement, and we were decently well known around the community, and people knew, like, my parents would never do this. But, like, still she was telling all these people, like, the things that were going on. She was also taking personal conversations that, like, we were having about, say, mental health, or say I had an issue and I talked to my parents about it, and, you know, she was right off the kitchen, so she overheard. She was taking those private conversations back to school. So I was very hurt. I had explained to her, hey, like, these are private conversations that we're having. Like, I would really appreciate it if they aren't going back to school. She seemed to understand that, but it continued to happen. So at this point, I was so stressed. My parents were so stressed. We were being called into the principal's office all the time to, you know, talk about it. And at this point in time, it was time to get other people involved. My parents decided to call her coordinator with her organization, and we had a sit-down conversation with her, and we were explaining to her, you know, the issues that we were having, and we were like, be open with us and try to explain to us the issues that you're having so that we can all fix what's going on. She did not appreciate this. She thought that she was in trouble with her coordinator. She didn't want to be sent home. And we tried to explain, like, hey, this isn't like a be sent home conversation. This is just a, hey, let's figure out what's going on here, and let's find some common ground. Coordinator heard everything that had been going on, and she was very upset. She had private conversations with Hannah. She said, this is not how you behave. And she did really, I would say that the coordinator did really well with the situation that she was handling. The coordinator was then coming to our house to meet with Hannah about 3 to 4 times a week. She was meeting with Hannah just to update her, just to say, like, hey, like, how are we improving? What are we improving on? These are the reasons that you're here. These are, like, the rules, and these are the guidelines that you must follow to, like, remain here. And she was basically on what I would say is probation of being sent home, which is something that my parents and I did not want. We very much wanted to avoid that at all costs. We were enjoying the, time that she was here for the most part, and we were just trying to squash whatever this was. At this point, the coordinator had been coming for about a week, and one day after she left, it was around 5 p.m., we had eaten dinner. Haley was laughing. She was having such a good time. She had eaten all of her dinner. She had played with my little brother, and she seemed to just be really enjoying herself. So I was like, wow, things are starting to turn around for us. And the rest of this experience is going to be really good for everybody. I was wrong. At 3 a.m, the police officers, the coordinator, the leader of the organization are all knocking on our doors. She had sent out an emergency SOS to her organization that she was in immediate danger. When we answered the door, they were like, where's Hannah? And we were like in her bedroom, like, she's asleep. Everybody had gone to bed like hours ago. And so they immediately come in, they want to see her, they want to speak to her. We're like, okay. So they come in, we start walking towards Hannah's door, and she's in a full-blown tantrum. She is crying, she is screaming, she's like, I want to leave, I don't want to be here anymore. And we're like, what happened? Like, what is going on? And so the coordinator decides that she can go stay with a friend for 2 weeks. The coordinator decides that everyone needs a break, so she goes and stays at this friend's house that passes their background check and everything. She's staying there for 2 weeks. She seems to really enjoy it, and it is about time for her to come back to our house. Although, she gets back, and she's worse than ever. She locks herself in her room all day. She will not come out. She is on her phone all day. We try to hang out with her. We try to play games. She's busy. She doesn't want to see us. Okay, that's fine. At this point, we talk to the coordinator one more time, and the coordinator decides it is either time to end her time here or to find her another place to live. We decide, because it is now my parents' decision, that is what she has done is bad enough to go all the way back to her home country, or is it bad enough to be moved to just another household. We decide that she can go to another household. We do not want to ruin her experience like being here in the United States. And although she wasn't compatible with our family, maybe there is a family out there that she would be compatible with. And so all that is in the end what we end up doing. There were a lot of people that were, upset at me for at school for her having to leave early. And that was really disappointing because it really, in the end, at 17 years old, you don't have a choice.
So, public service announcement, I am single. I just have to put that out there. So we were staying at my grandparents' house, and I was supposed to be going to a concert the next day. And that night, he was playing Xbox, and I was sitting on the bed, and he had his headset in, he was talking to his friends, whatever. And so I decided I was going to try on the outfit that I was going to wear for the concert. And mind you, this was a concert where the audience was going to be 99% women and the 1% was going to be gay men. So there was nothing to worry about on his end. But I tried on my outfit and I was wearing a skirt. It's cold outside. So I was wearing a skirt with tights underneath, and the skirt went just above my knees. And I was wearing combat boots like Doc Martens and a white long sleeve shirt. Also, this night, he had been drinking because he was socializing with my grandparents, and so they were offering him wine, and he was drinking, and he was drinking whiskey too. And he was on Xbox, and I walk into the room with my outfit that I was going to wear to the concert. Looked at me and he was like, "You're not wearing that to the concert." We had already been arguing back and forth before that, but I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "First of all, it's winter. Why are you wearing a skirt?" I was wearing tights underneath. And he was complaining about the length of my skirt, which it was a cargo skirt and it was almost to my knees. So it wasn't short, literally by any means. And I do this thing when I'm in confrontation, or when I feel like I'm being scolded or I'm in trouble, or someone's yelling at me or whatnot, I tend to shut down completely. So I just go silent because I'm I don't know how to even react or respond to this. It was a cute outfit too, isn't revealing in any way. So I'm just kind of okay, I don't know really how to respond to this. So I kind of just ignore him, and I change and I lay in bed. And as the night goes on, he's getting more and more drunk, and he's again on Xbox with his friends, and he just starts talking. He's talking shit about me to his friends, calling me a hoe and stuff like that. And I'm just laying there. I'm I don't even know what's going on at this point. And I'm so fed up also because I'm just God, this motherfucker. Sorry, I had to turn on my ring light. But yeah, the more he's getting drunk, just the more irate he's getting, and the worse things he's saying about me to his friends. And so I speak up and say something, and he just starts going off on me. He's telling me that I think I'm hot shit, and the more drunk he's getting, the less he's making sense. Whoa, look at the sparkles. He made comments about my mom, saying that if I'm gonna dress like that, then I don't deserve to be his girl. He's getting louder and louder, he's raising his voice at me, and this is at 1 a.m. My grandparents had already gone to bed, and I was not having it because I'm not about to wake them up, because I would genuinely be so embarrassed if they woke up to him screaming at me. So I get up to walk out of the bedroom, and he grabs a pillow because I'm trying to get up. He grabs a pillow and slams it as hard as he could into my face. He whacks me so hard with the pillow that I fall backwards, bro. Yeah, it's just a pillow, but no, he slammed it in my face as hard as he could. So I obviously get up and I quietly scurry out of the room because my objective is to get away from him, and he follows me out into the hallway. My grandparents' bedroom was across the hall of the bedroom that we were staying in, and so I was just trying to get away from there because I didn't want to wake them up. So I was able to slip past him and beeline it for the bathroom. And I go in there and I obviously lock myself in the bathroom. And luckily I had my phone, so I called my sister and my mom. Finally, they showed up, and it was so scary getting out of that bathroom. Luckily, my sister came to the front door and got me. And so we walk out, and he's following up both of us. And we walk outside, and like my sister... Dude, thank God for my sister. Follows us outside and he's still yelling, and my sister turns around and she's like, stop! She like got so stern with him, and he was just like, I think that kind of snapped him out of it because it was someone else telling him to like chill. And so my mom's sitting in the car waiting, and so I like run and get in the car, but we have the windows rolled down, so we're listening to everything that my sister is telling him. And my mom's like, again, this is in the middle of the night. My mom rolls down the window, she starts yelling at him, calling him all these names, and I'm like, Mom, please. I'm begging at this point. I'm like, guys, everyone, please just be quiet. Also, I know they would have called the cops if they had woken up. My sister had to go inside and pack me a little bag. And while she's doing that, he's standing outside talking to himself. At like 6 in the morning, my mom ends up driving me back to my grandparents' house. And when I went back inside, my grandpa was kicking him out. Yeah, don't ignore red flags.
My aunt ruined the birth of my child, and I can't forgive her. I, a 39 female, had a baby girl a few months ago. Because I'm older and single, this is likely the only pregnancy and childbirth experience I'll ever have. The dad is involved, but was in a different state for work at the time of my early, necessary C-section. When I was 37 weeks, the doctors flagged a potential complication and sent me straight from my appointment to the hospital to give birth. Thankfully, everyone is healthy. During my pregnancy, I daydreamed about new motherhood. One of the things I was excited about was how I would announce the birth. I wanted to get a nice photo and choose who I tell first. Here's where my aunt comes in. My aunt, 70 female, is something of a known, well-meaning pain in the ass throughout the family. She's incredibly pushy. She finds some new trend, for example, tapping, yoga, etc., and insists it will fix everyone's life if they do it. It doesn't matter how many times you say no, she'll leave pamphlets under the windshield wipers of your car. Many of her sentences begin with, I know you said you don't like this, but I know you told me not to, but I know you won't agree, but it's honestly enraging. Thing is, because my baby needed to be born early, my support person wasn't available. I have no siblings. My dad passed many years ago. My mother was extremely abusive during my childhood and has no interest in being in my life now that I'm an adult. My best friend lives pretty far away and has young kids. My child's dad was out of state for work, so I really had nobody to be with me. I appreciated my aunt's willingness to be there, and since I don't have a mother, so to speak, I really felt like I couldn't be too choosy if someone was willing to be there for me. So I put up with a lot of boundary crossing, a lot of insisting I try this or that while I was in a ton of pain and stress. She tried to push me to do meditation and I said no like 5 times. But an hour later, when I was in pain from the failed induction or getting my blood drawn, she'd clasp her hands and say, "You want to try the meditation now?" It was maddening and I was really hitting a breaking point. When my daughter was born, she cut the cord without asking me if I'd like to do it. She held my daughter before I got the chance. She shoved the camera in my face and recorded the moment I met my own child. I can't even watch the video now because I see myself nervously staring at the camera, self-conscious as she waves me to do something with my daughter. But I could forgive all of that. The big issue is what happened after my C-section. It was about 11 p.m. I was still shaky from the anesthesia. I was nauseous and numb. My daughter was only about 2 hours old. I was still processing what happened, helpless and unable to walk, barely able to think. My aunt stood over my bed, literally hovering over me, and asked if she could text the family to tell them I'd given birth. I told her no. She said, "Why not?" All I could repeat was, "No." She kept asking me why not. Then she finally said, "I don't accept that answer. There are people who are worried about you and we need to tell them right now." I told her I haven't even told my father yet, and she nodded and said, "Okay, I'll step out for 1 minute so you can call him, and then when I come back, we're telling the family." I was so numb and so tired and so confused, literally full of anesthesia, literally paralyzed and holding my daughter. I'd been a mom for less than 3 hours. I didn't know what was even happening. I called the dad and told him, and then when my aunt burst back in, I hung up on him. I don't even remember the conversation. She then stood over me and made me text the family. All I had was a blurry photo of my daughter, covered in blood and grease, wrapped hastily in a hospital towel. The following morning, a hospital photographer came and took beautiful pictures of my daughter in a nice swaddle with the hat I bought from home and a shiny pink ribbon. That is the photo I wanted to give to my family, but instead, the first photo that her dad and all of my friends and family saw is some blurry, bloody photo that my aunt took. Thinking about it now still makes me actually shake with rage. The dad is incredibly pissed as well. He feels like that moment was taken from him too. I did tell my aunt about this after I had time to process, and she apologized, but she's learned nothing. She continues to overstep. For my birthday, she gave me a present to mommy from my daughter. And that's the first gift from my daughter. I feel like that's something that her dad should have been able to do for me, or for my actual daughter to do when she's older. But even though we're not really that close, my aunt keeps acting like she's more involved than she actually has any right to be. She has 2 adult kids, both married, both in their 40s, and both having expressed no desire to have kids. She makes a lot of comments about if my daughter was her grandchild, etc. She even tried to use me to convince her daughter-in-law to have kids. The more time that passed, the more mad I get. That is my only child. That is the biggest day of my life. Even if I live to be 100, and even if I have 5 more kids, there's only one first. But all I see when I look back to that date is my aunt standing over my bed, phone in hand, waggling her fingers, eyes wide, talking in her hyper voice about how I need to tell everyone right now at 11 p.m. I don't know what to do. She said she was sorry, but that doesn't fix it. She has since done more things to show me her behavior will never change. When my daughter was a few days old, she brought a house cleaner to my house and made me pay them $600. They bleached the house and it stank so badly that I took my daughter out to the car. It was 25 degrees out, so I just sat in the heated car, holding my newborn baby, sobbing because I couldn't take it anymore. I called another family member and she came and got me and the baby. And I sat on her couch and cried for hours about how awful this has been. My aunt still doesn't get it. She thinks she helped me and that I'm just being unreasonable. My child's dad, who was the most mild-mannered, calmest, chillest, nicest guy, snarls a little bit when this aunt's name comes up. He tells me to stop answering her calls, and to be honest, I have started to do that, but the anger never goes away.
Am I the astronaut for putting a padlock on my son's bedroom door? Originally posted February 16th, 2021. My 41 female son, 22, left for basic training last Friday. Well, now it's just way different than anything I had imagined. I cried for days and I miss him very much. He called once to let me know that he was safe, but I most likely will not get to talk to him for the next 12 weeks. I went to the grocery store on Sunday. When I came home, I heard my daughter, 16 female, screaming at my middle son, 20 male. When I went to see what was going on, I saw my middle son carrying a laundry basket full of my oldest son's clothes and his PS4. I also saw my husband, 42 male, all of my kid's bio father, putting the rest of his things in garbage bags. My daughter was screaming at both of them to put everything back and that it was Trav's things and not garbage. I asked both my husband and middle son what the was going on. My son said that his father told him he could take what he wants. At that point, I was livid with both of them and said that this was still Trev's home, and that until he told me otherwise, those were still his things, and they will be kept in his room until he asks for them. My husband said that it didn't matter. Trev was a man now, and his home would be wherever the military sent him. I told my husband that he was being cruel to Trev, and that this would always be his home. My daughter was hysterical at this point, and I told them both that they were despicable for treating his room and things like a shopping mall. The next day, I went out and bought a padlock for his bedroom door, and I have one key in the glove box of my car. The other will be taken to my office and locked in my filing cabinet. When my husband saw the padlock, he flipped and told me that I was being over dramatic and that this was his house and he would just take a crowbar and pry it off. I told my husband and Jeff that if I saw either of them in that room again or found that someone tampered with that lock, they would both be out of the house. My husband is now calling me a grieving war widow. What the is with this guy? And my middle son is saying that he is entitled to the bigger room now that Trev is gone. Meanwhile, all of this drama is making Trev leaving harder on my poor daughter who is truly having a hard time with her big brother being gone. My husband is demanding I take the lock off the door and let him clean out the room. I refused to do this and told him that the only way the room is getting cleaned out would be if Trev no longer wants to live there. Am I the astronaut for putting a padlock on the door? Here's the update next day, February 17th, 2021. I went to bed shortly after I wrote this post and wanted to thank everybody for their commenting, even the negative ones, to answer a few questions. I spoke to Jeff this morning and asked if he had talked to Trev prior to him leaving about taking his PS4 and clothes, and he admitted he did not. I told him that he was stealing his brother's belongings, and he had until noon today to return all of it. He agreed reluctantly to return everything. I told Jeff that if I saw him near his brother's room again, he would have to find someplace else to live because I would not have my children stealing from each other, especially when the other child child is not here. 2. I spoke to my husband this morning as well and asked why he did what he did. He has admitted that he is having a difficult time with Trev being gone, and anytime we walked past his room, he was reminded that he isn't here anymore. He broke down and said that he missed him and he was sorry. Missed him so much, you disrespected all of his shit. Cool, makes perfect sense. He too agreed that what they were doing was wrong and said that he would put everything back the way it was until Trev came home and decided what to do with his things and what he planned to take when he got to his permanent duty station. My husband is former Navy, and he said that he is not there to protect his son and he is scared. He has seen combat and does not want his son to have to see the things that he saw. 3. The entire family agreed that Trev's room would be left the way it was while he was in boot camp and training school, especially since he was only able to take the clothes on his back and his phone when he left for basic. The agreement was that when he was sent to his permanent duty station, he would make an inventory of what items he needed, and we would store or donate what he did not want and ship the things that would not fit into a suitcase. My daughter and her Bubba are very close. This transition has been very hard on her, which in turn has made things worse for me because not only am I concerned about my son, but I'm concerned about my poor daughter who is clearly struggling with him being gone. My husband and I discuss it, and we think it is wise to find her somebody to talk to, or even a sibling support group for active duty military where she can go and talk about her feelings and fears.
I don't know how some parents just trust anyone with their kids. After you hear the story time, you're never going to let your kid out of your sight. This is definitely one of those story times that kept me up at night, so you guys already know the drill. If I'm up, you're up. Apparently, it is also a true story, and it happened in Israel. So the story is about a family, so a mom, a husband, and a child who just moved into a new apartment complex. So one day, their downstairs neighbor comes, introduces themselves, and basically just says that they have a child the same age as your child, and says, we're having a birthday party tomorrow, you guys need to come. Obviously, you just moved into a new place, you want to make friends, so she says, yeah, of course, like, we'll be there. Stories like this really scare me because I have 3 nephews. Like, if any of this happened to my nephews, I don't know what I would do. Like, I would crash out and I'd go to jail. The next day comes around and the mom is just cleaning up a little bit before they get ready to go to this party, but the neighbor comes upstairs anyways and says, hey, like, all the kids are downstairs, they can all hear the music from their home, and says, you know, like, let me just take the kid and then you guys take your time and come together. And the mom says okay, and lets her child go with this neighbor that she has no idea, nothing about. So now the husband comes from work and he's like, where's my child? You know, the wife tells him, like, you know, he's downstairs. They took him because all the kids were already there. They can hear the music coming from the neighbors, so they're not thinking much of it at all. I don't think I would either. So now the wife goes downstairs and knocks on the door of the neighbor. She's hearing the music happening inside, but nobody opens the door. And then she just goes back upstairs to come back down with her husband. So now the husband gets ready and they go down together. They're knocking on the door. They're hearing the music. They hear everything, but nobody opens the door. Now they get worried and the husband's like, yeah, call the police immediately. So now the police come and they're knocking on the door. They hear the music too, but then they bust the door open. They go inside, come to find out nobody lives in that unit. They think it was squatters, but they end up finding their child in the bathroom dead and all of his organs taken out. Like, I did not realize how common people are abducted just for their organs, and especially little kids. Like, it's actually so sickening. It's just so scary to me because you really think there's like good people in this world. You know, I know the mom didn't think nothing of it, and so did the kid. The kid just wanted to go to a birthday party and the mom just wanted to make neighbor friends. Come to find out nobody even lives there, and now your kid is gone. Like, that is so sad. But just as a parent, you can't just let anyone have your kids. Like, you can't trust anyone because people are genuinely sick in this world, and I'm learning that every single day through these stories. I heard this story time and it really reminded me of the story time that happened to the girl in Mexico, and it's just sad to me because it doesn't matter about the age. It can be like an adolescent girl, an old lady, a man, even a child. People will literally take you just for your organs. Like, I think that is so upsetting. Just wanted to share awareness. But if you're a parent, please do not trust just anyone with your kids. Like, no one. Literally no one. Love you.
Would I be in the wrong for not going to my sister's wedding because her venue is not wheelchair accessible? My 24 sister, 30 female, is getting married soon. I'm very happy for her and there are no issues between the two of us. She really wanted to get married in a specific location and she got it, which is great. But that location is pretty much not accessible to wheelchairs. I have a significant disability, paraplegia, and cannot move at all without a wheelchair, so going there would be tough. She told me that I could get carried up any stairs and then stay at the tables, but that's not something that I'm comfortable with. Getting carried is very uncomfortable and dangerous, especially when done repeatedly by someone that isn't used to it. And I really don't want to have to be carried to the toilets at a wedding full of strangers, or even worse, have an accident. then I also wouldn't expect people to just sit with me while the celebrations are going on, but the idea of sitting there and watching for hours feels wrong. Especially that after a few hours, sitting hurts a lot and skin becomes a concern, but I wouldn't ask someone to leave the wedding just for me. I'm not upset about the fact that they picked that venue. It's their day, and I don't expect them to plan it based on my needs, but I also don't think that she understands that it's not as easy as she thinks. There are so many things that could go very wrong. I intend to get them a nice gift and propose to maybe spend quality time together afterwards or before. One of my cousins told me it's just one day and that it's very important for my sister, so I should make an effort and get out of my comfort zone. But I feel like endangering my health isn't as simple as getting out of my comfort zone. So would I be in the wrong for not going?